All right, today is Friday. Today is Friday, August 14th. It's like 10 p.m. Spent the day recording another song for the album I'm working on right now. It's called American Refugee, and over this week I did 3 songs out of 8 so far. I was kind of tidying up Citizen Binary, which is now available on most streaming sites. I started with Bandcamp, and now it's on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Amazon. I don't know about like Pandora, but it should be on there at some point. You could just Google it, whatever streaming service you have that you like to use. I made a recording earlier. I was having an issue. When I recorded Citizen Binary, I dealt with it the best I could. I did everything on my phone. I recorded the synthesizer, piano, the drums, all the BandLab, multi-tracking. It was all done using my phone, the phone screen, and Bluetooth headphones. I forget the brand of headphone, but it works pretty well. The problem I was having is every multi-track would be about 25 to 30 tracks, and after a while, I guess there's a lagging issue, whatever you want to call it. It's not the phone's fault, or it's not BandLab's fault. It's just too much stuff to process, and I couldn't listen to the multi-track recordings. I would have to download it, listen to that, take notes, and then go back and edit it based on those notes, and then do it again, because I couldn't edit in real time. So to rectify that, I bought a refurbished iPad Air 3rd generation from Amazon for like $160. I'm not gonna shit on Apple. It's a good product. It just didn't work after a day. I used it literally for a day, and it did a great job. I was able to use BandLab flawlessly, and I recorded, what's the title? Young and Faceless, using it. So if you want to take a gamble, go for it, but I'm not going to buy refurbished stuff again. It worked fine for at least last night and for like 8 hours today, and then I shut it down to rest the battery and cool it down a little. And then it took me about an hour to get it back to the home screen and whatever. I don't know, something was wrong with it. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. So I'm sending it back and getting a new one. It's more expensive, but I just need something reliable. So whatever, I needed to buy it. So I bought an Apple iPad, whatever, 11th, whatever, one of the newer generations. There's nothing wrong. I would have kept this one because all I'm using it for is the BandLab, really. That's the main point of it. And other artistic ventures that I'm doing. I needed something. I never had an Apple before. I've had, I guess, Microsoft. I've had Samsung. I've had the Amazon Fire. And they were all good. I decided to buy Apple because I searched in Google real quickly. What's the best tablet for BandLab multi-tracking, and they said Apple iPad or a regular iPad is the best. This is according to Google, so I don't know if I thought Google and Apple were like rivals, but I guess not. Well, Google, I don't know if Google has their own tablets. I have no idea. I'm not very tech minded, if you don't know, if you can't realize that. I don't know technology that well. I can learn software, like, for instance, BandLab. It took me about a couple weeks to learn how to use it. But I'm not a professional at it, but I got pretty good with some stuff. I don't want to get too stale. I've been using kind of a similar formula for how I do things, but it's working so far. Anyway, I decided to make shorter talks as I go through this American refugee process to build this album. The first two tracks, the track Human and the track Gorilla Attire, I made with my phone, but then I just couldn't take it anymore. It's not so much looking at the screen, it's more just the sound. I can't edit anything in real time on the multi-track with my phone. I tried with headphones, I tried without headphones. It's the same, just all you hear is just whatever lagging issue that is. It can't process it in real time with the Bluetooth or whatever. It's not BandLab's fault. I still would recommend BandLab. It's gotten me to record 8 songs so far, or 9 songs, and release my first album. So I'm always going to support BandLab. I think it's a great product and it's worth the money. And the expressive piano, that's what I use today again to create some synthesizer melodies. The reason I get frustrated is because I'm not a tech guy. I feel like people are just messing with me sometimes. So I didn't want to deal with the headache. I might have been able to take this to like the Geek Squad. Maybe they would have fixed it for $100, but then I would have already been like at $300. So it's stupid, and who knows how the battery's gonna last. I'm just sending it back and getting my money back. It's worth a gamble. I'm not gonna say, well, I left an Amazon review. Don't buy Amazon refurbished anything, because I was frustrated with it. And I probably won't personally myself. I guess you just have to take it into consideration. It's a gamble when you buy anything refurbished or renewed, and you don't know what you're going to get. So do it at your own risk. If you're a tech person, it's probably good because you could probably fix stuff yourself, but that's not me. I can't open it up and diddle around with the wiring and stuff, so I have no idea. So I bought the new iPad, whatever it is, 11th generation, if that's the newest one. And yeah, I'm going to use that going forward for BandLab. That's really all I need it for, but it's an essential part of my music making, so I had to buy it. But this American Refugee album, it's similar to Citizen Binary. I spoke a little bit about it. Today was an interesting, maybe 5-6 hour producers session when I put my producer hat on. Yesterday I recorded about 10 or 11 synthesizer melodies and some vocals and bass stuff, and using that expressive piano app that I talked about a couple times already. And today I was just putting it all together using BandLab through the Apple iPad, which was a lot better. I do recommend it. If you can find a new 3rd generation, it's a great tool, but I don't think you could find any new ones. I wanted to buy something refurbished because I feel like it's recycling and it's helping and it's more resourceful, and that's all I really need it for. But if it's not going to be reliable, I'm not going to just keep buying refurbished and then testing it, sending it back, testing it, sending it back. It's just too much of a headache, man. So yeah, I just figured I need to have it because I can't use my phone for this. So I'll see how it goes with the rest of these songs. Like, I did create Citizen Binary using my Android phone, so it is possible to do if I had to, but it's not recommended because of the inefficiency of not being able to edit things in real time. If you're only having 3 or 4 tracks on your multi-track, or 8 tracks, then you're probably good. But I like to shoot for like 20, 30 tracks. Duplicate stuff, add weird vocal effects, and the way I'm layering stuff, like a Glenn Branca piece, or I mentioned the band Earth or Swans. There's actually one of the vocal melodies I came up with today reminded me of Swans, the Lunacy, Lunacy, off the Seer, if you know that song. So that's the style I'm going for. So usually I have about 24 to 30 tracks, and yeah, a lot of them are just duplicates of stuff where I'll add distortion or different effects on stuff. So if you're doing stuff like that, it's not recommended to use just a phone unless you have some super powerful phone. Maybe iPhones could work, I don't know. Never had an iPhone. I never had an iPad until today. Just for one day, but I would recommend it if you can get your hands on a third generation. I would have bought one for $200 if it was brand new, but I couldn't find any new ones. They're all renewed or refurbished. So I just went with whatever. It's a couple $100 more. So that's what I'm going to be working with for the last 6 or 5 songs on this album. It's going pretty well. In terms of the production side of this, I'm trying to be like Bob Ross. I mentioned this earlier today. I made a recording earlier basically saying the same stuff, but I had to do it over again because at that point I was happy with the refurbished product because it worked, but then it stopped working. So I'm like, I can't recommend this anymore. Like, you should know, I don't have to explain to people, if you buy refurbished stuff, yeah, it's taking a gamble, and at least you have 90 days to test it. So that gives you time to see if it's going to last or not. It lasted for a day. It got me one song. And yeah, at least if you do send it back, which I'm doing right now, make sure you erase all your stuff, because I spent all night last night till like 2 in the morning downloading all the apps I needed and connecting all my Google Drives and documents. So then I had to remove all that stuff before I sent it back to whoever the third party seller was. I'm not going to shit on anyone. Like, it's a refurbished product. You know the gamble you're taking. I was hoping I could get away with it for $160. Like, I could try an Amazon Fire, which I've had before, or other ones that would probably work well, but according to Google, Apple iPad is the best operating system for BandLab, and maybe I'll even try other recording software in the future. I know everyone goes by not Cool Edit. I used to use that Cool Edit way back in the day, like in college. The early 2000s Cool Edit. I don't know if that's still around, but that was pretty good. That got the job done when I was writing terrible songs. And yeah, Pro Tools is the one everyone uses, I guess. I've never messed around with it. Like I said, I'm not a tech guy, man. I'm trying to streamline stuff. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, where I can poop out songs in a day, 2 days, 3 days, and just keep making album after album after album. I'm going to keep this to 15 to 20 minutes because I'm already talking for 13. It's in that similar vein as like an artist like Celer, Celer. His real name is Will Long. Became a fan of his a couple years ago. I think he's based in Japan, but he makes album after album of ambient, just beautiful music, man. Him and probably Juliana Barwick, I would say, are the best ambient artists I've found. And I've had many moments with Celer's music. Like, the dude really makes awesome stuff. And Juliana Barwick, I spoke about before. She's probably the best at looping stuff and just creating these really surreal atmospheres. So I don't think she releases stuff as much, but she does a lot of collaborations too. But yeah, check out that Celer guy. Like, he has so many albums that's what I'm kind of going for. I want to just make as much as I can, as much as I can, as much as I can. So I'm looking for the easiest way to do it, not being lazy. Just, I don't want to waste time. Doing it the way I did for Citizen Binary, even though that was a different experience because I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to be Biz Markie. beatboxing and stuff, and then it was just not working, or Bobby McFerrin. And then after that, learning how to use BandLab, it just got too frustrating with my phone. And I couldn't hear what I was doing, which is kind of necessary when you're editing music. You have to actually hear what you're doing. So, yeah, that sums up. I'll probably make a couple installments of this. This is part one of this, the making of, what album is this again? American Refugee. This album was probably 10 years ago I started it, and it was mostly just acoustic jams and just melodies I had while driving to and from work, and like waking up in the middle of the night, stuff like that. So I'm kind of reworking those ideas into my new style that I've come up with. And so far, I think it's pretty cool. I got 3 tracks just about done. A couple more minor edits I have to do with the one I did today, called A Young and Faceless. So that's the update. Today is August 14th, Friday. And yeah, it was kind of frustrating. Technology is useful, and it's giving me an avenue to actually create stuff without real instruments. No guitar. I haven't played guitar in a while, man. No guitar, nothing else, no drums, unless I want to use just my hands and lap and random objects. Field recordings. If you could probably hear the crickets right now, that's like the field recording I'm going for when I'm making this weird ambient music. You could call it ambient, yeah. Like I guess it's more noise rock, but that's a form of ambient because the vocals are so hidden underneath all the layers. That's kind of what I'm going for. It's my style of shoegaze, I guess. That's about it. Yeah, I mentioned I wanted to become like a Bob Ross when I'm doing these 5-6 hours of just layering stuff and putting stuff together. That's kind of what I'm going for. Like I'm conjuring the Bob Ross philosophy, just relax and paint some happy clouds and shit. Because I was starting to get really frustrated with this new tablet last night. Because it just feels like I don't know. I was getting some weird echoes from stuff that happened in my past. So, but I'm sending that one back. It's nothing against it. I would have kept it if it worked. It's a good product. It just didn't work. It worked for a day and then it just kind of died. I kept getting this purple screen, if anyone knows what that is. Whenever I started up the iPad, it just went to a purple screen, and it wouldn't even give me the logo, so I had no idea what was happening. I was able to take screenshots, and I did reset it, restart it, and it just didn't cooperate, so I'm just going to send it back. Other than that, yeah, I think the good part of what I'm doing is I already have the song ideas. I have the lyrics. I have how the song was structured originally, and I'm just building from that with these improvisations. For example, I made about, I don't know, 13 or 14 synthesizer melodies yesterday or the day before, I don't remember. And then I would just layer them, and as I was doing that today, I think I deleted 3 because there was just too much stuff. After a while, you just can't hear stuff. It just gets too muddled. So I'll probably use those for the next track. But that's the game plan. I really like the improvisation side of things. The band The Necks, who I think I found from maybe 2021 or so, I forget. But they're an Australian band and they do everything improv. improvised, and really brilliant stuff. So that's what I'm going for, because I don't think it's a lack of patience. It's just going with the first thing that comes in my head is good for ambient music, or the type of noise I'm creating. It Once I have all these layers down and I listen to it a couple times and I start tinkering with it, that's when I get the vocal melodies, like, oh, that would be cool, that would be cool. So that's kind of the last step in the process. That's what happened mainly today. After I put all these layers down onto the multi-track, I started hearing vocal melodies, so then I would sing things and put effects on it and then add it to the mix. That was kind of the final step. Also, I wasn't going to use drums for this track, for Young and Faceless, but I felt like it was too naked without drums, so I added it at the end. And I think it was beneficial, but the drums don't come in till, like, I don't know, minute 20 or minute 30. So I might try to make a closing song with no drums, but the drums have been the most fun part, so I don't even know if that's going to work for me. I like the noise. I want it to be a chaotic sound bath. That's a good word, sound bath. Ambient music doesn't have to be Brian Eno, like music for airports. I love that stuff too. That's one of my favorite albums. But it doesn't have to be that. There is a form of ambient industrial noise like the Glenn Branca that I mention all the time. I think the Glenn Branca is the best, and I've listened to a lot of stuff like that. I think Glenn Branca, I think he just had a weird compositional style where it never gets boring, and to me, it just really makes me happy to listen to the chaos of it. So yeah, that's what I want to style myself after. That's the direction this is going to go. But if I find some peaceful ambient drones that fit this album, I'll try to include those too. The last Citizen Binary was only 6 songs, but I think it flows pretty well. This one's 8 tracks, so I have to make sure I can develop a good concept in terms of the track to track seamlessness, if that's a word, because that's really cool to me if you could have a seamless album of 8 tracks that kind of flow into each other. So transitions have been an issue that I practice, making better transitions between tracks, because these are drones and I don't want people to get bored with stuff. That's about it. I just wanted to get some thoughts out, just for myself, really. I know people don't really listen to these things, but this is good for my own documentation, so I could go back and remember what I learned from this process. Because this is a DIY approach to putting my music out there. It's completely DIY. I have to teach myself a lot of stuff. But I think I have an advantage because I have a foundation already. I've been writing music for 20 years, writing lyrics, poetry, whatever. And that gives me the basis where I'm not completely looking at a blank page. That could be cool too, but I don't know if my brain can get there. It might take me longer to develop some kind of a concept or theme. What is American Refugee? And I'll make this short because I'm already at 25 minutes. American Refugee, it was supposed to be about a young woman in some like Blade Runner or dystopian city, and she's kind of on the run, trying to find a new home, trying to find a new identity or a new peace of mind. So it was kind of a science fiction themed story, and it could still be that. But I gutted all the lyrics, so you can't really tell that there's any concept of a story to this. What I might do is try to put another book together of some doodles that fit this science fiction motif. Is that the word? The science fiction type of point of view. That's what their original concept was. It was supposed to be folk music and shoegaze mixed together. But I just can't do that with the. Not just because I don't have instruments to do that. I don't think I could do that effectively with my vocals. Again, the vocals for this album are just going to be one or two lines, like a mantra repeated over and over underneath all the fuzz. And that's about as good as I can do until I get better and more confident in my vocals. So, yeah, I'm happy with that approach. It makes it easier on me because I don't have to spend 2 days, 3 days just being like, man, I hate my vocals. I need to do them over again, blah, blah, blah. Like, that was Citizen Binary. So that's the approach I'm taking in terms of that. Because I do think these songs need something in terms of vocals. I like putting something in the background. You don't need to. Maybe there'll be a song or two that I don't, but I don't know yet. This album is still free flowing as I go. And yeah, I'm going to try to work on it. If I can do a song every 2 days, come up with the music, mix it, edit it, poop it out, and that's a pretty good pace. But I don't want to rush things to make it seem like being lackadaisical or lazy. But this first take improvisational approach is kind of fitting for me. That's how I do things. I don't think I have ADD, but I don't like to spend too much time overthinking. That's not really ADD. I can focus on material. I like that approach because art can really consume you where you get too constricted. You get too caught up in your own ego and your own perfection, your quest for perfection you're never gonna meet. So yeah, I like this approach. It takes the pressure away and it takes the ego out of the situation where this isn't about me, this album isn't about me. I made that realization during Citizen Binary because I was making it just about my own bullshit that nobody cares about. So yeah, this album has nothing to do with me. I'm just trying to make cool melodies. And the word of this album and this talk is sound bath. That might sound kind of gross. I don't know. It might have a bad connotation of some weird sexual thing. But yeah, it's a sound bath. That's what I'm trying to create, man. And I think I'm getting better. I listened to Citizen Binary again last night while I was doodling stuff and messing around with the tablet, and it is really good. And I'm not going to praise my own stuff, but I was able to zone out pretty well and not get aggravated by anything I recorded or how it was mixed or anything. So I'm pretty happy with it still. But who knows, in a year I might be like Citizen Binary, man, what was I thinking? What was he thinking? The angry video game nerd. What were they thinking? So, yeah, who knows? Art is weird like that. But I'm just hoping this new tablet solves the problem. It's coming tomorrow. So I should be able to get set up pretty quickly and start working on another track. And it was worth the experiment. I'm not going to... I did leave a review on Amazon. It's not an angry one. I just said, don't buy Amazon refurbished anything. At least for me personally, I'm not going to do it again. I like thrift store stuff. Like, if I went to a thrift store and there was an iPad for like $10, I would take a chance on it for $10. Most likely it won't work, but whatever. It's worth a gamble. Because I found good stuff at Goodwill. I bought a CD player changer for like $1 on one of those Goodwill Sundays with the color specials, and it lasted me for a couple years. I bought a receiver off of Craigslist off some guy, like 30, $40, I think. And that lasted me for a good maybe 4 years. Not that I used it that much. But yeah, speaking of that, I do kind of miss the analog side of things. It would be cool to hear how this music sounds, but I don't know. I know people speak about that. If it's recorded digitally, how much better can it sound on a record, on vinyl, on an analog signal? I'm a big fan of cassettes. I like cassettes more than anything. If I build a music collection in the future, I'm just going to try to focus on buying cassettes again. That was my favorite thing to find at Goodwill. Goodwill outlets, digging in the bins, you find some cool cassettes and blank tapes. That was kind of cool to listen to people's blank tapes, mixtapes and stuff. So that's about it. I spoke for a little bit longer than I was going to. It's about 30 minutes now. These are random thoughts that I wanted to get out to document the process of this American refugee, whatever it becomes. I'm almost halfway through, so I don't know about the track order yet. I'm just making the songs, and then I'll put them together like a puzzle when I'm done with all 8 tracks. But who knows? I'm still learning a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff for me to get the hang of. But yeah, the main theme of this is just creating sound baths that, even though it's loud and distorted, it could be pleasing to the eardrums, and the attractiveness of killing your ego through improvisation, because I think that's what improvisation does. It takes your ego out of the equation so you don't overthink stuff and try to put your own whatever on things. No one's going to accuse me of putting any political bias in this album, because there's barely any words at all. I think the first track, Human, had one mantra. The second one, I forget how many. This one I did today has maybe 3 different lines that I repeated over and over again. So yeah, I'm just looking for catchy melodies, vocal melodies to add to the mix. And the beauty of it is hearing it after you listen to what you think is the finished product, and then you're like, oh no, I want to add something else. I want to add something else. Just like a painter, I guess. You have to know what to delete, what to add. But yeah, any kind of art is like that. But I'm going to end this here before I ramble too much. I'll probably do another 2 talks at some point, maybe one after I'm done the entire album, and see how the process goes. Hopefully this Apple iPad will solve the issue I'm having and allow me to do this in a streamlined fashion. That's really my biggest concern. Worst comes to worst, I'll have to do it like Citizen Binary again, but it's not something I could do for every album. It's just too much of a waste of time. It's like adding another week of needless work, which I don't really enjoy doing. I don't like doing stuff that, especially to waste time, or what's the word? Just lack of productivity or lack of efficiency. I don't like doing stuff in dumb fashion where you could find an easier way to do something and do it just as good or even better. That's the key to a successful business model for any kind of enterprise, I think. Finding the most streamlined, efficient way to do things to make everybody happy, which is impossible, but whatever. You have to try at least. But that's all. Thanks for listening. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. I'm very amateurish when it comes to DIY stuff, recording, producing. I'm very amateurish when it comes to technology, but I'm trying to get better on these at some degree, I'm not completely illiterate. I can learn programs pretty quickly once I get the hang of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure there's people. I've watched some YouTube videos of people messing around with BandLab and really creating amazing instrumentals and stuff. But that's not really the focus. I'm really going for first take improvisations and just adding the fuzz to them later and trying to create 4 or 5 minute drones on this album. Nothing over 5, 6 minutes. And just to make it, to keep things interesting for the listener is kind of the mantra right now. But that's all. I'll come back again in maybe a couple days after I do a couple more songs and see how it's going. But yeah, thanks for listening.